And we should be live. Should be live. So I'm just gonna double check. I'm gonna go on my page. Here we go. So we are live.
Cool.
So I'm going to share this on my Facebook profile and on my other groups while everyone tunes in.
All right.
And you can do the same, Andrea.
All right. Work on that. Let's see. Share. Share now public. Wow, that's amazing. All right.
Pretty cool, huh?
I think I share it on the KETTLEBELLS page. That'll be cool.
Here we go. All right. Did you have any success doing that?
I think so.
Okay, cool. So it's going to be awesome because you're going to draw in all your viewers from your page. I'm going to do the same. We already have a couple of viewers right now.
Nice.
Fantastic.
Let me see if I can do one more other.
Sure. Absolutely. So, by the way, I want to welcome you guys to the Hardstyle Kettlebell show, and I want to welcome Andrea U-Shi Chang. She's a master of Strongfirst, master instructor. She's also a ground force method instructor specialist, or is that how you would say it, Andrea?
Well, I'm a global instructor for ground force method, as well as a North American national instructor. But yeah. I really, really enjoy sort of opening up new, groups, new countries, and helping spread what ground force method is all about.
Excellent. And I wanted to tell you that you're one of my mentors. You're one of my long-term mentors. And it's funny how I came across Andrea because I don't know if everyone knows that I was incarcerated. Maybe, maybe not.
We met in the clink, right? It was long.
We met in there. Hardcore meeting. But actually, my first encounter with you, Andrea, was through the Hardstyle catalog.
Oh.
And you were published in there. There was a picture of you and your crew, and you're outside. You're holding your kettlebells up, and it's like I was so inspired by that.
That's so cool.
It was pretty cool, meeting you there indirectly, and actually later on in life meeting you in person, and it was sort of a dream come true, you could say.
Yeah, we met up in Vancouver, BC.
Yeah, we met in Vancouver at the SFB.
Yep.
And you were actually, my first encounter with you, my first impression was that this is such, you're really nice, really personable, super friendly, and you're actually a beautiful person and, strong at the same time. So I had a really awesome and strong impression from you.
Very generous. It was just really nice to meet you at that time too, and learn more about you and become friends and sort of keep in touch over time and see you sort of own the skill set and the really cool thing you did. I mean, you were prepared. That was awesome, but also just hearing your story, learning more about you. I've just been continually inspired by your sort of precision and attention to detail and generosity, spirit, and all that kind of stuff. So it's we definitely like each other. It's a good thing.
We're birds of the same feather, as they say.
For sure. It's been great to come up to your studio and teach some stuff there and to really, every time I go to Montreal, it snows, so I don't know what that's about. But eventually, maybe I'll get there in the summertime. That would be cool.
I think you will, and you'll love it. It's beautiful here in the summer, and it's much better than in the winter, obviously, and there's more things to do. So next time, let's book a date in the summer so you're able to come down here and enjoy yourself.
I know.
Cool.
For sure.
So tell me a little bit about your story. I want to know about you, Andrea. This is your spotlight, and it's a chance for our viewers to get to know you, and my followers to get to know about my mentor, which is yourself. And what were your footsteps? What led you to where you are now?
Well, I started out. Long story is I was a college athlete. I played soccer and played dabbled in tennis. I chose to play soccer instead. And then after I graduated from art school, so that's another thing we have in common. I don't know if you guys know it, but Luca is an incredible artist. Beautiful stuff.
Why, thank you.
Hopefully he'll show you some stuff. If you go to his page, you'll be able to see some of his art. It's pretty cool. So I graduated from art school and eventually moved to Seattle, and over time became a little more sedentary. Went into real estate. Ended up getting kind of big. I'm 5'6" and a quarter, 3/4, something like that. I kind of like to say I'm 5'7", but I'm really not. I'm a little under 5'7", and got all the way up to like 200 pounds. So I got quite large. There's some pictures of me online, and there's also, I love cheesecake. That be flattery. Thanks, Matt. Just got really, really big. But it happened over such a long time, it just sort of felt like that was who I was. And so I had a wake-up call. It was probably big for 15 years easily. And I had a son, and he was getting around 2 years old, and I woke up one day and was like, what happened? Why don't I feel good when I wake up in the morning? What happened? You kind of look in the mirror and have a, coming into yourself moment where you go, wow, this is not who I want to be. So I called one of my best friends, who happens to be another Strongfirst master instructor. At the time, neither of us were. But Czar Horton, and I said, what do I do? What should I do? And so he recommended this book called Power to the People.
Power to the People.
And it is it changed my life. So I read this book, and don't get me wrong, I was still working out at the gym, but I was just doing stuff, getting on machines, whatever, lifting dumbbells, doing concentration drills, silly stuff like that. And, it can work, but it wasn't working. So I started reading Power to the People, and was like, well, this is kind of crazy. You're breathing in this way. You're only doing sets of 5, but lots of them, stuff like that. And me and my training partner started to see some results, but especially me.
Yeah.
And the other thing I started to pay attention to was diet nutrition. As a higher level athlete, and especially when you're really young, you can get away with a lot. And I'm Chinese, love food. Lucas seen me eat. I love to eat. And I was just...
Nothing wrong with that, by the way.
I was probably eating 3 to 4 times as much as I should have been eating on a daily basis. So it's amazing I wasn't bigger. But I started paying attention to how much I was eating and what I was eating. So combining this new way of training with some attention to detail on what was going in, the weight started to drop off. And I started to become really inspired by this new training technique. And so at some point, I went home to visit my mother, who lives in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I visited Czar and his, at the time, KETTLEBELLS, the premier kettlebell studio in Albuquerque. Wasn't even started yet, and he was training people out of his garage, home garage. And I went to his house and learned basically all the 6 basic movements, clean, snatch, press, in 2 hours. And 2 hours. And the windmill and some other various stuff. And I was like, wow, this is big. I'm hooked. And I went home. On the way home, I called Dragon Door, ordered my first kettlebell, which I still have in my studio here. And
it's in a case.
Yeah, right. No, on the floor. No one else knows which one it is, but I do.
Okay.
And so, started training, and in 6 months, I had lost 50 plus pounds.
Wow.
And had completely changed how I looked at fitness, nutrition, lifestyle choices. And to celebrate my birthday, I went off to my first kettlebell cert and got my first hardstyle kettlebell certification with the RKC back in the day in 2006. And sort of went and found sort of, I guess, my tribe, if you want to call it that way.
Yeah, absolutely, totally.
The community that I wanted to be around, because there was this open-handed generosity for the sharing the details of the rigors of the physicality of the things that we embark on with the training style that we do, but also helping people with training tips and sharing information, and just the desire to not only be better within yourself, but to also be better so that you can help other people. And
yeah.
It was truly inspiring for me. And eventually sort of I switched and changed from doing a lot of real estate and a little bit of kettlebells to a little bit of real estate and a lot of kettlebells. And that's,
so you had a transition.
Yeah, it just sort of like went whoop and changed places. So that was really cool. And I was lucky enough in a way to not have any other experience with fitness than my first experiences was with Pavel. And so I think because of that, I was actually talking to Fabio Zonin today about this, which is I was lucky enough to not have any other stuff on the table already. So my knowledge set started out with hardstyle kettlebell training, the simplicity of the system with Pavel, and I ended up teaching group classes, starting personal training out of my home studio, like in a small room in my house, and eventually ended up starting KETTLEBELLS, which is my studio here in Seattle.
Amazing, amazing. And you know, how long has it been open so far, KETTLEBELLS?
We have been here 2009. Actual KETTLEBELLS has been around since 2006, but the actual location, we've been here 7+ years in this location. We've actually expanded in our location and are super happy to be here. We're lucky. We have windows which you can see they're shining the light in on me. I'm trying to move away from the
Fantastic.
sun. Shocking in Seattle, sun's out. But it's we're just really lucky to be in this location, lucky to be here in this spot, and we just have a great community, and it's a cool place.
So your brand is 12 years old.
Yeah.
What makes your place different than other gyms? What stands out from KETTLEBELLS, would you say? What's that unique experience that people come in and you can offer them a totally different experience? What makes KETTLEBELLS so special?
Well, I guess I think that it's partly because of what I explained, that because hardstyle kettlebell training with Pavel was my only skill set that I developed in the beginning. When I looked to open up my own space, everyone that I talked to who was in the business was just like, oh, you can't specialize like that. That's never going to work. If you're just going to do kettlebells, you know, you're not, it's going to be too specialized. Nobody's going to want to come and train with you because you're not doing more of like HIIT or CrossFit style training or big box gym stuff where you don't have a bunch of bikes in the room and rowers and stuff like that. So how are you going to make that work? And I was like, well, look at me, it works. You know?
Yeah.
And people that I was lucky enough to train in the beginning who were also, you know, either getting back into shape or already athletic and getting even stronger, you know, with the type of training that we do. I was like, this stuff works. Everyone says it works. Why would an audience for this specific style of training. So I was just like, all right, well, this has to work. It seems to be working for me and all these other people that I am working with. So let's give it a shot. And so I did. I found a location, and we're different because that's what we do. We specialize in kettlebell training. Realistically, however, it's truly fundamental movement training, because the system, Strongfirst, that we're involved in, teaches correct fundamental movement patterns: lifting, carrying, squatting, hinging, pushing, pulling.
Absolutely.
And movement patterns, unfortunately, for a lot of us, have to be either retaught or taught for the first time in a way that can allow people to use their bodies safely and efficiently for better health, better wellness, and strength. And that's what I think that we do differently. There's a key component on safety and effectiveness without sacrificing the pursuit of skill.
Yeah, that was extremely well put. And, I'm just thinking of someone that is catching us and watching us for the first time. Maybe they don't know you, or they don't know kettlebells. And the hardest part for us is actually, convincing someone that this thing works, that kettlebells are so special and it can transform your life. But, we've done it over and over again with countless amount of people. And you know more than I do. You know a lot more than I do that the kettlebell, it works very, very well. And, you can argue that the kettlebell is probably the only thing, or it could be one of the only things that someone could use for the rest of their life and maintain a very good and steady amount of fitness, strength, and health, just using a kettlebell.
Well, I think absolutely that is true. And I have a personal way of sharing how well it works, just because it's something that happened to me actually very recently. I talked in to doing a search and rescue course here in the Pacific Northwest. And if anybody has ever traveled in the Pacific Northwest, you'll know that it comes from a bunch of mountains. It's kind of wet and rainy and cold in the wintertime. And we went out and trudged around the mountains, up and down hills. And I'm not talking on trails, but I'm talking about like carrying a 40-pound pack full of stuff over a day and a half period, 2 days, sleeping outside overnight. I think we averaged about 20 miles through like bushwhacking, up and down hills, all kinds of stuff. And I used to backpack when I was younger, and I lived in the Colorado Rockies and New Mexico. I haven't done it for a really long time. I do a lot of kettlebell training. I like to walk around town. I'm a city girl now. And so I got talking to this course, and I was like, well, I don't know. Maybe I can do this. Maybe I can't. We'll see. But after doing 20 miles in wet, sloggy clothes, carrying a 40-pound pack, not doing this ever, being surrounded by other people who are doing the same thing, the 40-pound pack was a great equalizer. But the other thing is I don't train that stuff.
Yeah.
I survived the weekend. It was hard. It was brutal. But I got through it, did just fine, and it's because of kettlebells. The movement pattern that we do that keeps us strong, loads our system. It is able to translate into real-life situations where you're like crawling up and down a mountain in the muck, blackberry brambles holding you back with a 40-pound pack on your back, and you're strong enough to do it and do it well. It's pretty cool stuff.
I can agree, and I can testify to that. We like to call it the what the hell effect.
Yes. It is
and that means that, what the hell? It's just so surprising that you're able to do these things and have strength and endurance and work capacity to such high degrees without actually doing a specific activity.
Yes.
I'm not a runner. I don't know if you ever run. I'm not a runner. I don't. I like to run once in a while, but fast. I like to sprint actually, but I'm not really a runner. But a friend had challenged me to go running with him for about half an hour. And you know, I could easily carry on and follow him without a problem.
That's so great. I love it.
And I just found it so surprising that without actually practicing that activity, I could just follow and do that. So yeah. Another what the hell effect.
It's crazy cool. I see it all the time in the studio. We have people that come in who, you know, were athletes, had been athletic, had never been athletic, scared of the gym, any of those things along the way. And they would come in and train and learn how to do hard style swings, learn how to deadlift, learn how to do get-ups. And then all of a sudden, they come in with these stories like, oh my God, I was in the airport. My airplane was getting ready to go. I had to run through the whole airport with my baggage, and I was running. And oh my God, I'm running. And I get to where I need to go, and I'm a little bit out of breath, but I'm like past everybody, and I made my plane. That's crazy, right? I'm like, yeah, that's crazy. Good for you. And I'm like, yeah, I could have never done that without kettlebells. Or, you know, we have a lot of we have some grandmothers here who are working, you know, their children, raised grandchildren, and helping to babysit, and having to pick kids off the floor, and having to pick all kinds of stuff off the floor, and transfer things, and they're strong enough to do that without breaking. Or we have, you know, some youth athletes who had knee surgeries and, you know, had to go play in a game, and we're like, Andrea, you know, I was able to run like I hadn't been able to run since before the accident, that type of stuff. And so it's just amazing things can happen. And it is such the what the hell effect. And it's really gratifying to see that what we do translates to everyday life, whether it's a skilled subset of sport or just everyday life of being able to do what you want to do when you want to do it. That's cool to me.
Totally. Now, what about this? Now, what about if someone doesn't have access to a kettlebell? What about if you don't have one? Ground force method. What's that about?
Ground force method, or GFM, is it is such a great set of tools to be able to stay healthy and mobile. So many of us, especially in the West, you know, we just don't move the way we should. We should all be able to squat. We should all be able to lift some stuff. We should all be able to move our bodies. And the hardest thing to keep moving over time is our own body. You know, gravity is pulling us down. It's compressing us. It's compressing our spine. It's making our posture pull and poor. And if we don't have enough strength to be able to hold ourselves up internally, then life just, you know, and I can see it in, like, for instance, my mom, who, bless her, I love her. She's the coolest woman on the face of the planet, but yet life is pulling her down a little bit, and so we're working to get her, you know, into kettlebells again for the second time, so that she can sort of be all that she can be in her body. But she doesn't have a lot of that stuff at home, so we've started with the ground force exploration, which is a movement-based flow. And the cool thing about it is if you can leverage your own body weight in so many ways to use it for full body mobility, stability, strength. It's a body weight system all in one, which is also a great progressive strength system. You know, if you're able to do things slowly and under control with meticulous form for postural alignment and things like that, you can really own a movement pattern so that actually when you go to load it with something outside of your body like a kettlebell, all those components that sync up to be able to allow you to move well and healthily are already there. And so it's pretty cool because you can use it at home, in the gym, at the dojo, on the field, in the park, when you go on vacation, you know. It's the even more enjoyable aspect of it is that it's fun, you know.
One thing I found about ground force method was funny was a few of my students were asking me, what am I working here? So we're doing figure fours, you know, we're in a seated position and we're switching sides. And one lady asks me, she says, what am I working here? Well, I didn't really answer yet, but I said, just pay attention, just watch me and just follow me. And I took her through some movements. And it's funny because people don't think outside the box.
Yeah.
People think in terms of just a conventional exercise regimen. You know, people go to the gym and they're working muscle groups. They don't think in terms of movement patterns.
Right.
But movement patterns is what you're designed to do.
Right.
It's how you're designed to move.
Right.
But people don't train that way. It's just not really the norm. So that's what makes ground force method unique, is that you're training your movement, you're strengthening at the same time, you're creating stability, mobility, flow at the same time, and you're creating these different pathways in your brain, in your nervous system. So
Absolutely.
It's super neurological.
Yes, neurological.
At the same time. Exactly.
I think it's probably the most solid way to build resilience, durability, and to improve longevity. And ultimately, that's what we're all looking to do. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's no substitute for, especially as we're aging, and we do have an aging population, there's no substitute for picking up really, really heavy stuff. Because the truth is, you got to pick up some heavy stuff to be able to stress your system enough to force calcium to go back in your bones, to sort of work on hormone control, you know, all that kind of stuff. Muscle mass. You can get a lot of that, although, with body weight movement, because you can leverage, you can spend time holding, you know, a position for a really long time, which is sort of like an isometric hold, which would be, you know, taking a kettlebell and pressing it overhead and holding it for a period of time. There's ways to leverage all that stuff, but it's definitely way more accessible for people if they just, all they need is the floor and their body. You know?
That should come first, as a matter of fact. That should be the first thing they learn, is going back to their bodies, reconnecting.
I think so. At the studio, that's one of the things that we do before every class, is to do our movement flow called the ground force exploration. It's a neurologically based progressive flow that sort of wakes up your system, but it also shows you how you're doing that day. You know, you can check in with yourself and go, hey, I'm feeling this way. My ankles feel kind of tight. My knees feel kind of tight. Or, wow, I feel fantastic. I'm going to go do all kinds of crazy stuff. Or maybe I better do some, you know, some other work on getting my body back online before I go do the crazy stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's a way to self-assess.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay,
and
go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just thinking it's super fun. There's a lot of games involved. And when you're playing a game with your friends, with your cohort, with the team, with the people that you're training with your coach, it just makes it more accessible and really, really fun. And you get a lot of work done. You don't even realize you're doing the work. So that's
it. Time flies by and you just realize you spend half an hour moving.
Yes. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Everyone gets to pretend they're a ninja. It's good.
So Ground Force Method, guys, is coming to Montreal, and Andrea has a few more dates. I'm sure you could check it out on the groundforcemethod.com. Check out the dates if you guys are interested in taking the cert. Really, it's not just for instructors, but it's for people that want to move better. So, you know, I recommend it to everyone, really.
Absolutely. I mean, Ground Force Method, there's certifications worldwide.
Exactly. Perfect. Andrea, I want to ask you a few last questions before we go.
Cool.
What would you say is your superpower that makes you the successful person that you are?
Well, I think it's kind of an odd answer, but I think it's my eyes. Meaning, remember I told you that I have an art degree. and I spent all my formative years drawing, looking at things, picking things apart, seeing how things moved. And so when it gelled into finding my passion, which is kettlebells, helping people get stronger, helping people move better, I think that that ability to see movement and to see what we're supposed to be like really stood me in good stead. Yeah. So it allowed me to quickly assess form and be really, really precise about communicating what I wanted people to do or feel so they could get the movement faster. And so I think that's my superpower. For good or for evil, it's a double-edged sword. But it definitely keeps me on my toes because I video myself constantly. You can ask any of the instructors here at the studio. You know, we're always, you know, we're sort of known for precision of form, but also have really good fun with it. So that's cool.
I can definitely relate to the eye for detail. Cool. Do you have any regrets in life? Anything that you feel like you would have went back and you would have redone? Any regrets?
I think in general, no, but I sure wish that when I was in my athletic career that I didn't know this information about movement and what real strength was. For me, strength can be about a 1 rep max. Like you want to lift some really heavy stuff. Okay, yeah, that's one kind of strength. But more important to me, I think, is the capacity to work well, effectively, and without decaying the skill of whatever thing that you're doing. Mm-hmm. Whether playing a sport, whether it's, you know, walking around town, whether it's, you know, doing kettlebells, whatever that thing is to have the work capacity to maintain postural over time, because that's what helps us have longevity and really good health. So I remember that's really my thing is I didn't get it earlier. You know, I'm glad I found it when I found it, but I sure do wish I would have been able to find it when I actually was in my athletic career. It would have made a huge difference for me.
Yeah. And are there any tools or would you have any books that you would recommend to our viewers, let's say that really helped you?
Yeah, actually, I do. The first one I've already mentioned, which is Pavel's Power to the People. It is deceptively simple, but it is, you know, sort of like an inch wide and a mile deep. It is truly, it is a book that changed my mentality around training and training protocols and writing programs for myself, how to train, and it just sort of coalesced into eventually becoming, luckily enough, to become a master instructor for Strongfirst. I'm just very honored by that. And so that's one thing. So everyone should have that in their movement library for sure. Then there is a book that is close to my heart, which is called Anatomy of Movement. Yes. That is an incredibly illustrated book, but it's also very precise in its drawings and how the body moves. Basically, an artist and a dancer who put together this just really, truly wonderful book that shows how bodies should move. And then there is 3 books as a coach. I think if you coach other people, want to be an instructor, somebody who is able to understand movement in a way that other people don't, which I think has stood me in good stead, is 3 books. One is The Brain That Changes Itself. Mm-hmm. The Body Has a Mind of Its Own. And then in terms of coaching skills, super dry book, but very, very good, called Motivational Interviewing. Okay. The ability to coach others is a skill set. Anybody can do it if you have the time and patience to learn it. And I think it's really important because we need more people that are willing to delve into the skill of coaching so we can help more people get healthier, because we're in a society where, unfortunately, it's too easy to not be healthy.
That's totally true, and it's one of the biggest industries and rising industry. You look at the population, people are overweight, people are obese, more people need help. So as fitness instructors or as coaches or fitness professionals, our job is becoming more and more important.
I agree. And being able to support people in making these huge lifestyle changes, which are really, really difficult, because anybody who has tried to change a habit over time knows how hard it is.
Yeah.
So the idea is not to beat people down when they come in, but to raise them up, to encourage them, to inspire them,
Totally.
to make the changes on their own. They can buy into the process on their own, so they can do the work, because that's really what makes that real change.
Totally. To support people and not put them down.
Absolutely, because everyone can do this stuff. Anybody can do kettlebells. I mean, I've had people come in off the street and go, oh my God, this looks kind of scary. Do you think I can do it? And I'm like, well, I had one gentleman who is now a very, very dear friend. And on the Kettlebellity site, there's a little blog article about him and his wife. They came in and the team and just changed their lives. But he was really, really overweight and conditioned. And he just said, I don't know if I could do this. And I said, can you sit down and get up out of the chair by yourself? And actually, I said toilet. Can you sit down in the toilet and get back off? And he was like, yeah. And I said, you'll be fine. You can do this. You can do this, and there's no way you can't do it. I know you can do it. I believe in you. And he came in and just killed it and has lost like over 100 pounds and changed his life. So this is good stuff. Anybody can do it. And the other side of it is, if you are already athletic and you want to take your athleticism, like some of my elite athletes, and take it to the next level, the same thing applies. You can do it. You can do it in the box and really change things up for yourself. So take this on.
What would you give as far as any advice or tips to someone starting off on their fitness journey? A woman that is maybe has several pounds to lose, maybe 10, 20, or 50. What would you, let's say, give your old self advice? Remember, you know what I mean? So look back and give yourself advice to where you were back then. Talk to yourself. What would you say?
I would say something doable. Pick something you can succeed at and do it every day. Start doing it. Start doing something. It could be as simple as deciding to put your fork down between bites of a meal. It could be as simple as deciding to park your car further away and walking to the store entrance. It could be making sure that you're going to go to the gym once a week and do something. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as you change one thing. Because if you change one thing and you can do it every day, then you can add something.
Yeah.
Some people really resonate with, they jump into the swimming pool, they change everything, and then boy, they can stick to it. But I think that sometimes that sticks, sometimes that doesn't stick. But what came is consistency and the ability to get back on the road to that eventual place that you want to go, that global sense of wellness and strength and commitment to yourself, which is, it's not always going to be perfect. Just try again. That persistence is key, and consistency will get you where you want to go.
Absolutely. So not just about trying to be perfect, but also progress.
Absolutely. And learning from mistakes. Some of the best things that I've learned over time is when I sort of messed up and was like, wow, that helped me make better choices in the future. And so, like I said, the persistence of coming back to the table again, back to try to get to where that end goal is. That's just, it's a life choice of changing and being open and really trying to do better for yourself and the people around you, for sure.
Great words. Andrea, where can people find you if they want to know more about yourself, ground force method, know more information about Kettlebellity? Where can we find you?
You can come to the studio here in Seattle, which is sunny right now. Come to the Kettlebellity studio. You can look us up on Kettlebellity, KETTLEBILITY.com.
Awesome.
You can find us on Facebook. You can find me under the listing for instructors on Ground Force Method. You can find me under the instructors for Strongfirst.com. All those places are great places to go, as well as Functional Movement Systems, FMS. All those are really good resources for people who are looking to pursue their own personal life goals of how they want to be in their bodies and in their world. But also, if you're an instructor or somebody who wants to be a coach, those are also great places to check out, for sure.
Awesome. Andrea, I want to thank you so much. This has been a really great interview, and thank you for your time and your knowledge and your wisdom. And we look forward to having you again and share some more great stuff.
Thank you, Luca. It's been a great pleasure, and thanks everyone. Have a great day.
Guys, thanks for watching. Catch you soon. Stay strong, guys. Take care.